In this video, we will show you how to replace your ignition coils on this Nissan Maxima with a 3.5 liter engine. You'll have 3 of these along the front and 3 along the rear of your engine. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. The first thing we need to do is remove our plastic engine cover. This is held in place with 2 5.5mm Allen head mounting bolts. Just take hold along the front of that shield. You should be able to lift it up and out of place. Now with that cover out of the way, you can see exactly where the ignition coils are located for the bank 2, but we're going to show you how to replace the harder ignition coils, which are located along the back side of the engine under your intake. Let's move along the center of the engine area here. We're going to dislodge each one of these units. They're each held in place with a 10mm headed mounting bolt. Go ahead and turn that counterclockwise to remove it. As we dislodge these, we can just rest them forward in the engine compartment. Before we continue any further, let's make sure that we clean up any miscellaneous debris along the top of this area. You can follow this rubber hose to its mounting point. Separate that. Right up here. In this area, you may find that you have to use an angled pick. If you do, just be careful not to cause any damage to that hose. Once it's off of there, a quick squeeze, make sure it's soft and pliable, not torn, worn, or damaged in any way. We'll set that hose aside. Continuing along the same side of the intake, looking right along the back side, we're going to find that we have 2 hoses that we're going to dislodge. We're starting up at the upper one here. For this, we're just going to take hold of that squeezable clamp. You can use some long nose pliers if necessary. Squeeze it in and slide it out of place. After that, we'll dislodge the hose from the intake. Just going to slide it off using my pliers. We're being very careful not to cause any damage here. Just a quick inspection of that hose as well. We'll set that aside. Now, if you were looking just below that one, a little bit closer towards the center, you're going to find a second hose to remove. This one will be easier with some shorter pliers. That looks good as well. With both those hoses out of the way, we're going to move just below that area. You can see a bracket here. This is held in place to our intake with a 13mm headed mounting bolt. It's pretty much right underneath where that hose just was. There's our mounting bolt. Now I'm just going to separate that bracket real quick. Now let's move across the intake. We're going to dislodge this rubber hose from here. Just going to use a flathead screwdriver, pry that out of place. In this area, there's a 10mm. Make our way across. We've got another rubber hose. We're going to disconnect that. Now we're going to start dislodging this tubing from the intake itself. Looking along the front of the tubing, where it connects to the intake, you're going to find two 10mm headed mounting bolts to remove. The other one's on the far side. This one's a little bit harder to gain access to. Now we'll dislodge this bracket, which is attached to our intake. We're using a 10mm for this. Now let's move towards where our air inlet is. We have a small breather hose. Now we're moving along the top of the air filter housing. We're going to start dislodging the wiring harness for our mass airflow sensor. Just use some pliers. You can squeeze in on the 2 locking tabs to dislodge the wiring harness. As for the connector, it has 1 locking tab. Go ahead and squeeze that in. A quick inspection for corrosion. We'll set that aside. Let's start separating the upper air filter box from the lower filter box. That has 2 locking tabs along the front. Just go ahead and take hold of those to dislodge them. Follow the air inlet tube all the way over towards your throttle body. We're going to loosen that clamp. I'm using an 8mm. Start sliding this out of place here. With that out of the way, we have a clear view of our electronic throttle body. An important note is you never want to press on that valve inside the throttle body. Let's continue on to dislodging the wiring harness here. Once again, we have 2 squeezable ears. We're just going to squeeze those in and we should be able to pop this out of place. Time for the electrical connector, locking tab along the back side. Let's go ahead and squeeze it in, pull that off. No corrosion there. Now, if you are looking just underneath the throttle body, you can see that there's 2 hoses leading to it. Those are coolant hoses. For this job, we do not need to disconnect those 2 hoses. We will actually dislodge that throttle body from the intake, and we're just going to hang it aside, putting no pressure on the hoses. We don't want to cause any damage. Now we have 4 5mm Allen head mounting bolts holding this in place, 1 on each corner. It's common for these to rust and strip out, so you just want to be careful for that. An important note about the rearward lower bolt, it does have that small metal bracket for your wiring harness. Just a quick inspection of that and we'll set that aside as well. Take hold of that throttle body, we'll set it aside. With the throttle body out of the way, let's pay attention on the intake. Just below where the throttle body was, you're going to find that you have a metal bracket which holds this tube and hose in place. We'll remove our 10mm mounting bolt. With that bracket dislodged, we're following the rubber hose which is attached to that area, making its way up along the back side of the intake. We're going to find a metal squeezable clamp. Go ahead and squeeze it in and dislodge that hose. For this, I'm just using some long nose pliers. Small pick to help separate this. Obviously, we're careful for that hose. We don't want to cause any damage. With that clamp out of the way, let's start pulling this down and out of place. You can continue on with your pick if necessary. We'll just be careful not to cause any damage to the hose. Should be able to make our way around this. Press it down. Now we can flex this out and away. Now we can start removing our upper plastic plenum from our intake. This is held in place with 4 10mm bolts and 2 10mm mounting nuts. For the removal process, we'll start on the outboard side, make our way towards the center. Let's take hold of this. We're going to have to lift it straight up because of course we do have 2 mounting studs on each side of the intake. When doing so, let's be extremely careful that nothing falls inside of the engine once we have this up. That can cause catastrophic engine damage. Just a quick inspection of that and we'll set it aside. With that out of the way, once again, we're being extremely careful that no miscellaneous debris falls inside of the engine. I'm going to protect this area. You could either lay something across here, or you can just carefully use some rags, and we're going to place them in here, protecting each one of these ports. Whatever you do, you need to make sure that you remove it during the installation process. Now that we have that out of the way, we have a clear view of our rearward ignition coils. At this point, the process for one will be the exact same thing as all others. Let's start by disconnecting our electrical connector. It does have a locking tab. Just press that in. I'm going to pry this out of place. That looks good. Now you're going to find that you have a 10mm headed mounting bolt holding this in place. Take hold of that ignition coil. We're going to give it a little wiggle, lift it up and out of place. There it is, friend. Continuing on, let's use some compressed air directly inside of this port. There could be some miscellaneous debris. We want to remove it. Before we install the ignition coil, we'll use some dielectric lubricant directly inside of the port that'll lead to that spark plug. This will help it slide into place easily. Start sliding this down. We're aligning our mounting bolt port. You can see it right here. Start on your 10mm headed mounting bolt. We'll bottom it out. The torque for that is 62 inch-pounds. Double check, confirm your ignition coil is properly secured. Let's reconnect our electrical connector. Just go ahead and line that up, press it in, listen for a click. After an audible click, a light tug confirming it's properly secured. Repeat this process for all others. Now let's prepare to install our plastic plenum. Before we do so, we want to make sure we clean up this area. I'm going to clean it while I still have the ports protected. I just have some parts cleaner directly on this rag. If you needed to, you could use a flat blade razor to clean up any miscellaneous debris as well. As we're cleaning this, we're trying to pull things out and away from those ports. Now we can start removing the protective areas here. As we start pulling these out, keep in mind there could be miscellaneous debris inside of them. We're confirming nothing falls inside of the engine. Now just one more quick wipe up along the top area here. Before we install our plastic intake plenum, let's have a look along the bottom side. That's where the seal will be. It's common to go ahead and replace this seal, but at minimum, you want to at least wipe it down, give it a close inspection, make sure it's still soft and pliable so it will make a good seal. If it feels like it's dry, brittle in any way, you definitely want to replace it. It's definitely still very soft on this one. Okay, no tears, and it feels soft. Ready to install. Now let's get that plastic plenum in place. We'll rest it in position, bringing it over those mounting studs which are attached to our intake. Just gotta get it lined up here. Just flex this hose out of our way. Start on all 4 of your mounting bolts along the center and each of your 2 mounting nuts, 1 for each side of the plastic plenum. Once they're all started on, we're going to bottom them out and torque these in a specific sequence. The torque for each of these will be 8 foot-pounds. Now we'll torque them in that same sequence. For good measure, let's go around a second time. Now let's move along the back side of that intake plenum. We have our 113mm headed mounting bolt. We're going to be holding that bracket to the back side of the plenum. Okay, it's a little difficult to see back here, but generally you just reach along the back side, get it aligned, start it in, and we're just going to snug this up. Use our 13mm wrench to snug this up. Just using a ratcheting wrench. Okay, right there's bottomed out. Just gonna take it a tiny bit further here. Grab the bracket, double check, make sure it's secured to that plenum. Now it's time for our 2 rubber hoses along the back side of the plenum. We're going to start with the one that goes from the rearward valve cover up to the intake. Just gonna slide that right onto the intake plenum there. We'll re-secure that with the clamp. Now it's time for our next hose. This will come from the brake booster tube all the way over to the intake, facing straight forward towards us. Now we're going to make our way along the front of that plastic plenum. We're going to reinstall this bracket, making its way across with all of our small tubes. Just using 10mm headed mounting bolts for each of these. Start them in. After they're both started in, you can snug them up. Along the top front of the intake plenum, we're going to start resecuring these areas with our 10mm headed mounting bolts as well. We've got our small hose leading off of that one. Next one on here. This last one on there. Get the hose in place. Now we're going to follow this metal tube. We have a small bracket holding it in place on top of that intake plenum. Rubber hose. Connect that in right up here. Now along the driver's side of that intake plenum, we're going to start securing this area using our 10mm headed mounting bolts. Start this one in. Follow that tubing towards the rear, just underneath the very end of that intake plenum, where the throttle body should be. We have another area for a 10mm headed mounting bolt. And now we can snug them both up. Now in that same area along the back side of the intake plenum, we have our small rubber hose. Let's get that in position as well. I'm going to press that on there as far as possible and reinstall our clamp. Now it's time to reinstall the throttle body. Before we do so, let's clean and inspect the seal on that intake plenum. Just like the other seal, if it feels like it's hardened, dry rotted, or brittle in any way, you definitely want to replace it. This one's still soft. Let's get that throttle body in place. For the throttle body, we're only going to start in all 4 of the mounting bolts. We are not snugging any of them until they're all started in. Now for the bottom rearward corner here, we have that small bracket. Put that in place. Next, we're going to snug these and torque these to 60 inch-pounds in a specific sequence. Torque these to that 60 inch-pounds. Let's double check that torque. Attach the throttle body electrical connector, press it in, listen for a click, a light tug, secure that wiring harness onto its mounting bracket. Now it's going to be time to insert the inlet tube, but before we do so, let's pay attention to that throttle body. We need to confirm that no miscellaneous debris is in this area. While doing so, never press on that valve inside. You can cause damage. As for the inlet tube, we're going to have to slide the tube in and behind underneath the throttle body along the back side of the intake here. You're going to find that you have a small rubber grommet. We want to make sure we have this small tab pressing into it. Start bringing this around. Line it up, press that in. Now let's start getting the air inlet tube onto the throttle body here. Make sure you have the clamp in a position that you can gain access to it and tighten it. Let's tighten that clamp. Take hold of that and attempt to pull it off at the throttle body. It should not slide off. It's time for the mass airflow sensor wiring harness. This has 2 mounting points and of course the electrical connector. Let's start securing the wiring harness. Put that one down at the bottom. We've got our next point right here. Connecting the mass airflow sensor. Audible click, light tug. Start securing the upper air filter housing to the lower housing. For that, the top should have 3 small ears that are going to slide into the rearward aspect of the lower housing. After that, you can lock it down along the front. Time for the breather hose along the front area here. Press that on there as far as possible. Get the clamp in place. One last quick inspection in this area. We'll reinstall our engine cover. We're going to align it with its front mounting points, press it down into position, a light tug along the front, confirming it's aligned and secured, and continue on with your 2 mounting bolts along the center. Let's snug them up. Okay, friend, we've completed our installation. The next thing that you need to do is go ahead and start up the vehicle. You're going to want to let it run for a short while. Make sure you have no running condition, no check engine light. Close the hood, take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.